This was supposed to be the easiest bank heist ever. No lasers, no secret tunnels, no genius security system. Just one tiny town bank, one sleepy guard, and 4 criminals who thought they had the perfect plan. But by the end of the day, their getaway van was stuck in wet cement. One of them was trapped in a vending machine, and the police didn't even need to chase them. They just followed the sound of the ice cream song. It started with Milo, a man who watched too many heist movies and confused confidence with intelligence. Milo believed every great robbery needed 3 things: a plan, a crew, and a dramatic name. The plan was simple: rob Riverside Community Bank right before closing, when the staff were tired and the police were busy with the weekly farmers market. The crew was less simple. There was Benny, the getaway driver, who had failed his driving test twice because he kept stopping at green lights just in case. There was Taz, the tech expert, whose greatest hacking achievement was guessing a Wi-Fi password that was literally password. And there was Ricky, the muscle, even though he once lost a fight with a revolving door. Together, they called themselves the Midnight Foxes, which sounded cool until Benny printed the name on matching black hoodies. With their real names under it, Milo spent 2 weeks planning the heist on a whiteboard in his garage. There were arrows, maps, timing notes, and one big sentence written in red marker: "Do not panic." Unfortunately, panic was the only part of the plan they followed perfectly. The first mistake happened before they even reached the bank. Benny was supposed to get a plain white van, something boring, something invisible. Instead, he arrived in a bright yellow ice cream van with Sunny Smiles Ice Cream written on both sides. Milo stared at it like his soul had left his body. Benny explained it was the only van he found with the keys inside. Taz said it might actually be perfect because nobody suspects an ice cream van. Ricky agreed because he wanted a strawberry cone. So they kept it. The second mistake was the disguises. Milo wanted simple black masks, clean, serious, professional. But Taz ordered the wrong package online, and instead of masks, they received 4 giant animal heads: a raccoon, a duck, a donkey, and a chicken. Milo wanted to cancel everything, but Taz said, "Crime waits for no delivery driver." So on Friday afternoon, 4 grown men climbed into a yellow ice cream van wearing giant animal heads and drove toward Riverside Community Bank. And somehow, the plan was still about to get worse. At exactly 4:42 p.m., they parked across the street from the bank. Milo gave one final speech about focus, timing, and staying calm. Then Benny accidentally turned on the ice cream music. Very loudly, the whole street heard it. Children started running toward the van. A grandma asked if they still had chocolate cones. Milo shouted for Benny to turn it off, but Benny pressed the wrong button and made it louder. By the time the music stopped, half the street was staring at 4 nervous animal-headed men inside a yellow van. Milo decided they had no choice. They rushed into the bank. Ricky, wearing the chicken head, ran straight into the doorframe because he couldn't see properly. Then he apologized to the wall. Inside the bank, everything was calm. Too calm. There were 2 customers, 1 cashier, and a security guard asleep in a chair with a crossword puzzle on his lap. Milo stepped forward, ready to deliver the scary line he had practiced all week. But because of the raccoon head, his voice came out completely muffled. Nobody understood a word. The cashier smiled and asked if they were here for the charity event. Milo froze. That was the first twist. The bank was hosting Costume Charity Day. Everyone thought the criminals were volunteers. Before Milo could fix the situation, the bank manager came out, thanked them for coming, and handed Milo a donation bucket. Taz whispered that maybe they should leave. But Milo had spent 2 weeks on the whiteboard, and he was not walking away with emotional damage and no money. So he placed a note on the counter. It was supposed to say, "Open the vault and stay calm." But Ricky had written it in a rush. It actually said, "Open the vault and stay clam. The cashier stared at it and asked if this was part of the ocean fundraiser. Milo grabbed the note back. Things were going badly, but Taz said he could still disable the cameras. He pulled out his phone, tapped the screen, and proudly said the cameras were offline. They were not offline. He had turned off his Bluetooth. Even worse, he accidentally connected his phone to the bank speakers, so every whisper he made played through the entire lobby, including when he said, "I don't think this crime is working." That woke the security guard. He looked at the animal heads, the donation bucket, and the nervous duck holding a phone. Then he calmly pressed the silent alarm. The crew didn't notice. They were too busy demanding the vault. The bank manager then explained the second twist. The vault had already been emptied that morning. Most of the cash had been moved to another branch. All that was left were old documents, promotional pens, and one locked metal case. Milo refused to leave with pens, so he demanded the metal case. Ricky picked it up, immediately dropped it on his foot, and screamed inside the chicken head. The pet shop next door had a parrot near the open window. The parrot heard the scream. Then it started repeating Taz through the speaker. "I don't think this crime is working. I don't think this crime is working." People outside began recording. Milo finally realized the heist was finished. The crew ran out with the metal case, the donation bucket, and almost no dignity. But when they reached the van, they discovered the third twist. Benny had parked beside a construction site. While they were inside, workers had poured wet cement behind the van. The back wheels were stuck. Benny slammed the gas. The van moved 6 inches, made a terrible noise, and sank deeper. Then the ice cream music turned on again. At that exact moment, the police arrived from the farmer's market, each holding a bag of apples. No sirens, no dramatic chase, just disappointed officers walking toward them like teachers catching students cheating on a test. Milo made one final decision. Escape through the alley. It was a terrible decision. The alley led behind a bakery where someone had stacked trays of powdered donuts. Ricky slipped first. Taz crashed into Ricky. Benny tried to jump over them, landed in a trash can, and got stuck. Milo kept running and accidentally burst into the pet shop. That was the final twist. The pet shop was having dog adoption day. The dogs saw a man in a giant raccoon head holding a bucket full of coins and decided this was the greatest toy they had ever seen. They chased him around the store until he slipped on a rubber bone and fell into a display of hamster bedding. Meanwhile, Taz tried to hide in a vending machine. Nobody knows why. But he got stuck halfway inside with only his legs sticking out. When the police found him, he said he worked there. Nobody believed him. A few minutes later, the entire crew was caught. Benny was still in the trash can. Ricky was holding his foot. Taz was being pulled out of the vending machine, and Milo was covered in hamster bedding while puppies chewed his shoelaces. Then the police opened the metal case. Inside were not rare coins. They were chocolate coins wrapped in gold foil. Part of the charity event. The final profit from the perfect heist was $12 in donations, a bucket of fake treasure, and a lifetime ban from the pet shop. The local news called them the Ice Cream Bandits. Milo hated the name. The town loved it. And that is how 4 criminals tried to rob a bank and got defeated by an ice cream van, wet cement, a talking parrot, and their own terrible decisions. So remember, if your mastermind has matching hoodies, animal masks, and a getaway van that plays children's music, he is not a mastermind. He is tomorrow's funniest headline.